Hello, merry meet and greetings. So people have asked me where are your Gorean videos, so I thought let us make a Gorean video. And today I want to discuss a topic that has to do with free women, as there's been a lot of discussion on that in one of my favorite Facebook pages about the Gorean lifestyle. And the topic I want to discuss are basically the robes of concealment and my interpretation about on them and how they might be applicable to Goreans basically living Goreans, to people that live this lifestyle. So a lot of people, of course, that especially role players that basically take every word in the books literal. They will look at somebody like me and say, "But you're not wearing the robes of concealment. How are you a free woman? You show your face, you show your neck, you show quite often, but quite a bit of cleavage, and you wear chokers and you wear that." And there I think it has very much to do with, are you a reconstructionist? If you are a reconstructionist, as in somebody who is trying to make your lifestyle as close to the books, basically the fiction, everything, the society in the books as possible, then of course actually following those rules of how free women is to dress might be applicable. However, I think that there are two philosophical points of views when it comes to the robes. And those are the ones I want to discuss, because since I consider myself a philosophical Gorean and not a reconstructionist, the exact way it is used in fiction isn't that important to me. It's what they represent philosophically that interests me. And there are basically two things I want to address here. And of course, these are my opinions, and I'm definitely not the judge of everything Gorean, so take it for what it's worth. The first thing is that there are a certain freedom in hiding your appearance, for good or ill. If you look at any video that on YouTube, just to make an example, that especially a woman has made, sometimes men too, but especially women, you will find a lot of comments on her looks. I mean, I get them all the time. Sometimes negative opinions on my eyes and my weight, and generally I delete a lot of the trolley comments, but still, even had to make a whole video explaining why I have the eyes that I do. And for women, you get this constantly. For example, if you look at a political debate and the news description of it, the female political candidates, they always comment on their dress, their appearance, and so on, and they don't do that as much for the male candidates. And as such, there are a freedom for a woman to hide that. And I had a discussion with a Muslim woman about this, about why she used to wear the abaya. For those who don't know, the abaya is basically the black, all-covering article of clothing that they wear in Saudi Arabia. She was from Saudi Arabia. I think it doesn't have to be black. I am not an expert on that topic, but at least that's the outfit they wear in Saudi Arabia. And she said that for her there was an enormous feeling of freedom in basically with that saying, I don't want to be judged on my appearance. Very often when we, for example, discuss the topic of Muslim women, we look at them as unfree when they wear a headscarf, or even when they wear a niqab and cover their faces. Because to us in the West, tossing our clothes, burning our bras, all of that has become symbols of feminine freedom. But for a lot, and clearly there are a lot of women that don't want to dress covered up completely, that are forced by various regimes to do so. And I'm not protesting that. But I'm saying that for some Muslim women, this is something that gives them a sense of freedom, because then they sort of give voice that I do not want my appearance to be a part of it. I mean, definitely my appearance is a part of it. I'm a goth, meaning that the way I choose to dress definitely affect how people react to me. When I show up with spike chokers and thingies on my head and skulls left and right, people will react to me in a certain way. My appearance have then been brought into it, and that can at times distract from what I'm saying, my opinions, and you can. I know this might not be the favorite channel for a lot of people that are Gorean, because a lot of people that are Gorean are conservative. But if you look at the YouTube channel The Young Turks, when one of the female hosts there, very often you will see more comments on their appearance than what they are talking about. And I think that the Robes of Concealment within the Gorean books are a way to contradict that. It's a way to stop that, basically, because the free women then say, my looks, good or bad, are not on display. It is what that's coming out of my mouth, my actions and my deeds, that should be judged, not how I look. Because it is completely natural for men to look at women. It's natural for women to look at men as well, but men do have a stronger sexual drive, and it is a natural instinct. I mean, we can talk about this with sexual harassment and such until we are blue in the face. The case is, if you look at various species, you usually have one gender or the other that look pretty for the other. Look at, for example, the what are they called? Those birds, those with the fancy tails. Oh, peacocks. Peacocks. If you look at the peacocks, that's the male peacocks that has those beautiful tail feathers, because that's how they attract a mate. They say, "Look how healthy and awesome I am. Look how pretty I am." And then, of course, it becomes natural for female peacocks to look at the males. Yeah, that's one damn good-looking bird. However, in humans, it is generally the female gender that dress up and look pretty. It's not just that. I mean, I have certainly looked at some quite good-looking men and taken another look. But very often it is other qualities that women look for in men than just their appearance. Of course, and I'm not saying that all men are shallow either, but it's what I'm saying is very natural for men to look. And as such, really the only way to stop that is to cover that up. However, that does not mean that I think that women should do that. But I am saying that the ideas of the robes of concealment can be seen as two things. One is that you have to be aware of how you dress, because when you are free, how you dress is completely up to you. And I will address that topic later. Basically, but you have to be aware of and accept the consequences of the signals you send with how you look. So, for example, when I go around like this in what should we call it? Soft grunge meets steampunky thingy. Anyway, that will get a certain reaction. When I wear a blouse that shows a lot of cleavage, that will get another reaction. And as a free woman, I have to be aware of this. I have to own what signals I send. And I think that's one thing to take away from the whole thing about the robes of concealment. Do I also think that at times covering up completely would be a good idea? Yeah. And if it hadn't been that, and I think that if it had been that basically face coverings and complete coverings are so ingrained in the idea of being Muslim. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other cultures that do this as well, and other religions. But in the West, if you wear an abaya or a burqa or just a regular hijab and a niqab, you will be seen as Muslim. But if it hadn't been that completely ingrained in that, I might get a few such attires for when I don't want to be looked at, because I don't always want to be looked at. When I dress up like this, I do that because I want to be looked at. I have chosen this outfit because I want to project that, and I own that. But there are times, for example, when I don't want to do that, or perhaps I want to make a video and I only want my words to matter, then I might cover up. And I am not saying that there's anything wrong with being Muslim, but when everybody will immediately assume that you're Muslim, then it becomes a few problems with that. For example, if I were to wear certain outfits and then buy pork, then I would suddenly, in a way, be insulting that community, and I don't want to do that. But if it hadn't been that socially ingrained, I might cover up at times just to basically say, no, today I do not want to be looked at. I do not want my appearance to be a deciding factor. And that is the point of the robes of concealment. Yes, within the books, they are also a way to suppress these women. Let's get that completely out of the way. There's also a social aspect within the books that women, especially by other women, actually, it's more other women that enforce this than the men. It is women, especially those of high caste, are expected to cover their faces, other than if there varies with the various city-states. For example, in Torvald's land, they don't do it as much. But yes, women are expected to do so, whatever they want to or not. And it becomes actually a way to oppress women, and it doesn't have anything to do with the philosophy. But it is also a philosophical aspect of it, of basically the freedom of saying, no, my appearance is mine and mine alone, and I will choose who I share it with. But I think that that freedom can also be translated into being very aware of what you are wearing and how you choose to present yourself. Because if you present yourself with a blouse, a pearl necklace, and dress very conservatively, you will show yourself in a different light and be met in a different way than if you are a goth, or if you dress in something very scantily. And I believe that as a free person, it is you have to be aware that you have chosen this, and have to be aware of how people will react to with it, and own that. And now I'm sure somebody will then say, you are blaming rape victims. No, it's not that I'm talking about here. I am more talking about social reactions. I mean, I have warned things of people that thought I've been a Satanist. And I have a video on one of my videos on the Gothic lifestyle, where I say that if you choose to wear goth, You can't then go and cry that people look at you, because when you wear something untraditionally, people will look at you. That is what I mean. You have to be aware that you will be met a certain way. So yeah, that's one thing of it. The other aspect of the Robes of Concealment that I feel that you can take away from the books philosophically is the idea that you dress for you. A slave, no matter if the master say, oh, well, I'll just leave the dressing thing to you, because you're just better at it than me, and let's get these girls that very many men, we are often better than on that. Not all men, of course, but a lot of them. But even so, then you're still dressing for your master. You are dressing for him. You're dressing because he wants you to look a specific way. And it's like one of my friends on Facebook said, and if you are watching this video, hi, I'm not going to say your name, but you know who you are. I showed a picture of my nails. I like nails. And she said that she had been curious about tipped nails, basically having one of the color on the tip. But her master didn't like those newfangled things. So, well, she didn't do it, because she did her nails for him. And if you look in the books, the free women, they dress for them. Yes, there's a lot of social conventions about what should be covered and what should not be. But at the end of the day, she chooses her looks for her. While a slave are dressed for the master. And there's so many quotes about how she's ornamented and how the master chooses to dress here and there. I mean, seriously, the free men in the books, they are like little girls with Barbies. It's, oh, we'll dress our slaves this way today. And that's the point. A slave dresses for her master because she is not her own person. She is owned. While a free woman chooses her dress. So in a way, any dress a woman chooses for herself, those are robes of concealment, because she chooses it. It's like this. My husband and free companion does not like nail polish. He has never liked nail polish. I do my nails because I like it. He doesn't like loads of jewelry. He is one of those that likes one or two tasteful pieces. I like to look like a Christmas tree. I throw on jewelry left and right because that's my choice. It's my body. It's my choice to do so. Now, that doesn't mean I can't at times decide, oh, I'll dress the way he likes because I'm hoping that we will have hanky-panky that night. But then that's also my choice. I dress for me the way I want to look, or the way I dress to get what I want. So for me, philosophically, that's how I view the robes of concealment. That these are robes of concealment because they are an outfit I have chosen for me, because I want to look this way. I have not been ornamented for someone. I have not been ordered to dress this way. I am not dressing this way for someone else. I am dressing for me. And that's what makes them robes of concealment. Though I know that within the books, they have hold this concept of the whore and the Madonna, where basically free women and slaves are supposed to be opposite. So that, hell, there's a type of berry that slaves often eat, so free women doesn't eat those berries. I mean, everything that slaves tend to do, if it's physically possible, free women doesn't do it. If it would be physically possible for free women not to take a shit, because slaves do, they wouldn't take shits. And I feel that is part of the social structure within the fiction. It is not part of the philosophy. Of course, for somebody who is a reconstructionist, like I said, the matter would be different. For me, who are a philosopher and want to find ways to use this philosophy within my daily life, that's how I look at it. That slave garb are something that your master has chosen for you. It doesn't matter how covering it is. It is what your master has ornamented you with. It's what he has decorated you with. You are dressed for him. While a free woman's robes of concealment are what she chooses for herself, because it is her right and her power to dress as she pleases. But of course, she then also has to accept the consequences of it. For example, there are people within the Gorean community that don't respect me because of how I look. Because a goth girl that wears spiked chokers, well, this is pretty modest, but have a tendency to show cleavage galore, isn't their idea of a free woman. And that's fine. That's what I have to accept. I can then present my views of why I dress this way and why I think that's completely okay. But at the end of the day, I have to accept that I don't look like what a lot of Goreans see a free woman as. And I also have to accept that when I make a Gorean video and the first I see is this, they think it's a slave. I can't then be angry and say, oh, you are a horrible person that would jump to the conclusion that I'm a slave. Of course, I think it's polite to ask, because not everybody who wears a choker are a slave. But I can't go ballistic over it, because a lot of people have this idea that if you wear a choker, you're a slave. But, like I said, it's your choice. And as a free woman, I choose how I present myself. And I also have to take the responsibility of it. And that, to me, is what the lesson, if you want, within the books about the robes of concealment is. They are a way for a woman to, basically, she has her own choice in it, because she is free. As long as a woman is free, what she wears is her choice. She owns it. And so it is her robes of concealment, because they are chosen by her, for her, and for nobody else. And yeah, that are my opinions on the robes of concealment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I welcome any kind of comment down below. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, and blessed be.